Hello and welcome to my show. I am Natasha Venter. This is the podcast of Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. So thank you for being here. And I know people are coming online here. So I'm just honored whoever is going to be watching or listening to this later on the podcast, wherever you find it. And so thank you for being here. I'm grateful always to be live here on Wednesdays to support you during your truth. So, welcome and thank you again for being here. So, today's show is going to be about hi, Veronica. Thank you for being here. Um, and thank you again, everyone, for because I'm live on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And I just am so grateful to be here for you. So today's conversation is going to be about how do we get from something that we cannot necessarily move forward with. Because there's that need to sometimes transform from what we've been through to something that we can live with. And, I've practiced this so many times in my lifetime that I had actually somebody who asked me, to help to discern to conversate about how do we transform something, what is that language, transform it, because some people want us to go from unforgiveness to forgiveness, or not okay to this is okay, or from what we're doing to something else, and it's not always easy to do that. And I can witness that. Or how do I live with someone who's done me wrong to living with them? How can I give grace with something when something doesn't deserve grace? We struggle doing this many a times. How can I forgive something that I had shame and guilt of the past and move it forward and not have any shame and guilt about what happened in the past? How do we go through these stories of ourselves to negotiate something better? Because that's how we move forward is that we go through things, because I know that many of us do things that have been troublesome. How do we negotiate going through that? Well, I know for me, and this is, just a thing that, like I live with someone who, did some unforgivable things during the drinking and the alcoholism, and now is much better person, much better man. And I've had to live with that person now for 35 years. Well, I didn't have to, I chose to, but that's the thing, is that many of us choose to negotiate certain things and some of us choose not to. How do we live in a country or a state that does us wrong and then have to still live in it? And many times we cannot forgive. I know that there's people who've done unforgivable things to me, at me, and at the same time, I can still kind of be gracious with them. Well, and I know for me right now, I'm on a very healing path. I've gone through a lot of healing and, negotiating a lot of shame from the past, and I'm moving forward quite quickly. Well, I was having a conversation with somebody today, and like I said, that, there's sometimes and that I have to put things in a wagon, metaphorically. Okay, so I'm going to go a little deeper in that concept. That, sometimes we can get these images, we can get these understandings, we can get these moments where, and I'm very imagery in my life. So if I go back to a time 20 years ago when a conversation was going on with somebody who did not quite understand what I was asking them, or a conversation that they weren't quite ready to do it. So there was some shaming and guilting going on both sides. So I go back to that moment, because have you ever heard of, like, doing a child or inner child? retrieval, or going back and gaining back those parts of us that were done, where you go back and grab a part of your soul that was left there. And, going into that, well, whenever we have traumatic moments, there's almost an energetic drop of ourselves that goes plop at that time. And so it's almost like we leave a part of ourselves there. We leave a part of ourselves in that emotion, in that state of mind back at that time. And this is something that you can believe in. Your truth is your truth. These are just perspectives. I want to make that clear again. These are just my understandings that you can put your own truth onto it. But I'm hoping that I can give you some insights that you can kind of go, why do I keep going through that memory? Well, I go back to, I'm going to say, a time when I was guilted and shamed for doing certain things, and then told that they weren't going to help me, and all those types of things. And so what I've done is that I go back metaphorically to that point, and there's a conversation that I had, and I'm taking that conversation, and it's not a comfortable conversation that I had with this person. Not at all a comfortable thing. And what I did is that I sat there and I witnessed that conversation is as I am today, which changed a little bit of perspective. And I give myself grace, and tell myself, you did really good, girl. You really did good. But we're here now. We're here now. And this is part of what we're needing to do sometimes to heal our nervous system. Because our nervous system struggles quite dearly with who we are and what we're doing. And our nervous system doesn't always feel safe. So if I can go back to that point and give myself an okay, you did okay. Well, that's telling my nervous system, who's like, my nervous system is like, I don't know about this, right? But my nervous system needs to feel safe before I can move forward. I want to move forward. I want to go into a better place because I'm working on a lot of things. My manifestations, my money situations, my all these different things that I'm not always going to do better until I go in and heal some things. But I'm moving quickly through a lot of my healing. So what I'm doing is I'm putting that moment, I'm taking a wagon back with me energetically, putting that emotion in a wagon. Do you ever remember being like pulled in a wagon, like an adult pulling a kid in a wagon? That's the image I'm giving you. So put my emotions, those states of mind, that energy into that. And I put it in a wagon and I'm pulling her forward in time. Pulling her forward in time. As I'm like acting like I'm pulling on a rope, pulling her forward in time, walking with her, telling her we're okay, looking back, saying we're safe, we're safe, we're safe. We're going to be okay. Pulling her forward. And if I can pull her forward and be here in the now, and she witnesses me, that part of me witness me, how strong I am, how able I am, how knowing I am, that I can actually feel safer when conversations come up that tag my insecurities and say, I'm safe. So, Man on the Moon, thank you for being here. Uh, so good evening, Natasha. Good idea to transform negative ideas into hope. Come and listen to you and take a path of positive energy. Thank you very much, because I want to be positive. I want to give hope. I want to give inspiration that we can negotiate our mental mind, our emotional feelings, our doings, because so many of us say, I feel like I can't do that. But actually, we can do that if we persevere through it. I feel like I'm not able to negotiate that emotion anymore of shame and guilt, but yet I'm strong enough to do it now. So if we can pull those times forward, I'm pulling it forward in a wagon because I'm not going to spend the next 5 months or a year walking, we're going to be okay, we're going to be okay, we're going to be okay. It's kind of like an innocent child of pain and shame, trying to get them to mature from a a 5-year-old to a teenager, and you can't do that within a day or two. It has to take time, right? But I'm putting her in a wagon and pulling her forward so that she can be honored and witness me as I am today. So I'm going to give you a mantra here if you want to write it down. And I'm giving it early, so if you need to rewatch it, you can quickly go through to this moment in the recording. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. No matter how this experience turns out, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. No matter how the experience turns out, I am safe. Because of the fact that even if it doesn't turn out well, I know that I'm more equipped than I was at that time that conversation went on. So I know that I can be safe no matter what happens in my life. A lot of us have the skills and the tools because years have come by that we can negotiate what's in front of us. And I know I'll be safe. So going into this, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. No matter how the experience turns out, I am safe. That has been one of my strongest mantras that I can say lately that can help me be who I am. Now, going into this and doing this, giving ourselves a hug while we can be a benefit. Because no matter where we're at and what we're doing, that there is going to be moments where conversations are going to trigger us, moments are going to trigger us, ideas are going to trigger us. And all we can do is not be who we used to be, which is shame and guilt, our pain. And that's the thing that I have done when I've had to work with somebody who has done something that has been unforgivable. I remember that I'm not going to go down that road. I am not going to go down that conversation. I'm not going to go down that moment. I'm not going to go with that situation anymore. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to love the person who's trying to do better. So if we start having a conversation that is not necessarily okay, I'm gonna try to negotiate it in a better way by saying something like, babe, or person, or friend, or what, that you know, I don't want to have this conversation right now. This is not a good conversation to have. Let's come back and have this conversation a little bit when we're not triggered. And then at the same time, knowing that if that is said, that things can move on. Or, you know what? Sometimes silence is the best gift. There's been many times where I'm just sitting there and I'm just silent. Doesn't always make people comfortable when you're silent in a deep conversation. But it gives us time to process what is happening. And that's the gift that we can give our nervous system, is we don't react. We interact. And if we can interact in the conversation, if we can interact in what is doing, it's not necessarily that being silent, it can be mean. But I'm going to tell you, when I'm silent, a lot of times what I'm doing in my energy is I'm saying, I'm asking for healing on this. I'm asking for healing on this. I'm asking for healing on this. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than me. It's over my pay grade. I'm asking for healing on this. 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 And when I can do that, that sets the intention of me being, instead of me being like, crossing my arms and being like rigid and saying, and looking very sternly at somebody because I'm angry, that doesn't send the more healing intention. But if I can be silent and asking for healing on this, I'm asking for healing on this. This is not comfortable. This is not where I want to go. I do not want to go down this rabbit hole. I'm free from going down this rabbit hole. And when we can say those kinds of things and keep our energy in a healing way, and there again, that mantra, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, no matter how this conversation turns out. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, no matter how this interaction plays out. That many a times that that intention has changed the energy because my energy is not in defense. It's not in you're doing wrong. It's about I don't want to be here in this moment. This is not about me and it's not about you, but it's about us. And I need this to be healed because I'm done going down this rabbit hole over and over and over again. So when we can go into our story and ask for divine healing on this does help our energy field. So doing those types of things can really help us to move out of shame and guilt. So we don't necessarily always can say, I forgive you, or I forgive that moment. Oh no, that's sometimes there's those pains that are just like, ouch, that hurts. But what I can do is I can say, we're going to be okay. And we're moving forward. We're going to be okay. And I'm moving forward. And when we can say, I'm okay and I'm moving forward, it helps all of our emotions, our sanity, our mindset, our knowings that we can be okay. Doesn't make it right what happened. By no means doesn't make it right. But I'm going to be okay. And if I can state that I'm okay, I can heal a lot of things, my money situations, my emotional state, my insecurities, my anxiety, my whatever it is that gets triggered. We can start going in and giving it grace and heal a lot of that story. So when you are in the moments of life and negotiations and doings, we all, and I'm going to repeat this, we all have something that harmed us, did us wrong, didn't make us feel right, didn't be what we wanted to be. How many girlfriends or boyfriends did us wrong? How many siblings did us wrong? How many parents did us wrong? In our perception. Because in that perception, they may not have thought it was wrong. Doesn't make it right for us, but it maybe didn't make it wrong for them. Because at that time, they were in a state of mind that thought it was right. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. But when we're talking about somebody who it feels more stronger than somebody else, and that somebody who felt weaker because of scenarios, we have something that triggers us. And in order to heal it, I am done with scarcity all the way in my life, whatever that context, scarcity of not having friends, scarcity of money, scarcity of limitations, scarcity of food, scarcity of things to have, the scarcities of life. That if we can work through our scarcities and heal a lot of our knowings, by moving them forward. How do we move them forward? We do sometimes things in spite of it. But our nervous system, that vagus nerves that goes from one end of our body to the other end of our body, that represents the first thing that says, wait a minute, this does not feel safe. It's not our mind that says we're not in safety. It's our nervous system. And that's why anxiety is so rapid right now, because it is about anxiety. Anxiety is about the nervous system. And like for me, let's say for an example is that I just came back from going to one of another state where my daughter lives. And in that state, I had to fly to go. Well, I was at work in the morning and I had to catch the plane to go to her, which meant that I was like I was going to a smaller airport, so I had a little more grace, but I only had about 2 hours that I could do that in. Well, I knew I had enough travel time. I knew that being in the smaller apartment or airport that I had that luxury that I could and I had over an hour to last, but that anxiety that anxiety or that tummy twisting or that jumpiness that gets in your stomach of excitement, but yet fear and all that and stuff. But what I was telling myself is I'm safe because I didn't want that to give me that anxiousness that I was like, my tummy was upset before I even got to the airport. So no matter if we're having that anxiety interaction, if we're having, I'm not going to say intact, but that anxiety interaction, those moments where things just don't feel quite, am I going to get there in time? Am I going to do this? I, I'm safe. And no matter how it turns out, I'll be okay. So how can we negotiate our story when we're going through things? Well, I can tell you that we have to re-engage our brain differently, and our brain is very powerful. That's what's so interesting. That our nervous system is what reads our emotions first, reads the room first, reads the moment first. Our nervous system makes sure that we are safe. It doesn't matter if it's something good, like me going to see my daughter, or me being chased by a tiger. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to say, "Am I safe?" And it's going to make us feel the same way either way. But our mind is so powerful that it can override most of our body. Our mind can tell us that we're going to be sicker than maybe we are, or more in love than we are, or more okay than we are. But I'm going to tell you though, use it to its strength. So, me saying, cancel, clear, delete on the sick, cancel, clear, because I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. See? The mind is more powerful than we give it credit to. So if I believe I'm healthy and I keep saying it over and over again, I may get a dribbly nose. I may get a little bit of a scratchy throat. But you know what? I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Because we're all in the midst of doing life. So how can we negotiate those things? I hope I'm making sense with this conversation. And if you want to put anything in on the comments, please make them legal and okay. But going into this, that how do we move forward? Well, it's kind of like traveling cross country. We have to negotiate what's in front of us. So what can maybe somebody mention a little bit in the comments, if you would like to share something that you're not feeling that you can move on from, and it could be very simple language, trauma in the past, or a childhood scenario, or something like that, so that I can maybe give you some tools to help you negotiate your world. So being you, being safe you, is what's vitally important. And doing the spiritual awakenings, doing our spiritual walk, many of us, we're as spiritual as our worst moment. We can be praising God for the blessings in our life, but as soon as we get into those depths of darkness, the dark part of the soul, that we're not always good at walking through that. That's when we forget about our negotiations. I was talking with someone just lately where they were saying that I was having troubles this last year, and I left all my cards. I forgot to I didn't talk to the person that I believe in as my God. And I said that, well, that's actually when our team wants to be used, is when we're actually in the depths. And so a lot of times when I'm in the more fearful moments of my life, when I'm in those trouble moments, those conversations that are very tug and pull, those moments where they're life altering, I go to my spirituality. I go to love. I'm asking for divine healing on this. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, no matter what the outcome is. I'm looking at the bigger picture here because I'm in the blessings of life. I'm in the moments where love can happen here. I'm have the expectations that love can overcome this moment. Those are those things that I say in the depths of where darkness is. Instead of you're doing wrong. Why are you doing this? Because if we have judgment on those moments, if we keep judging those moments, how do those moments feel safe in our knowings? So if you can, during these journeys of where we're at and what we're doing and going forward and being who we are and what we're doing and what's happening and all those kinds of things, that but we have to feel safe in that moment. We have to feel safe in that moment. And the only way we're gonna, I got a phone call coming in. The only way we're gonna feel safe in that moment is by having grace, having more love, having that moment of inspiration, being a part of our wisdom. Now, like I said earlier, not every moment is forgivable. Not every part of our life can be forgivable. But what we can, though, is appreciate it, learn from that moment, express okay in that moment. That know that moment was a great learning tool for us. Where can we engage with our life as we're moving forward? So I'm hoping and praying that as you go forward and as you're witnessing your world, where can you appreciate your past and move it forward? Can you move forward that time when maybe you were abused physically, spiritually, emotionally? Because that moment stops you from being fulfilled, stops you from having a relationship with somebody else. That moment may hinder you having your financial abundance. That moment might hinder you from accepting the future of your world. So, what can we do with it? Find your way to bring it forward into your world now so it can emotionally fit and help you. So our inner child, if our inner child is struggling with something from our past, put that inner child in a wagon and bring it forward as a movie. Like if you're walking down a road and the movie is your life on either side, and the situation happened when you're 5 years old. Well, like a trail, put it in your wagon, letting it look at both sides of your world as it's walking down a trail, like a movie on both sides, kind of like when you're on a ride in Disneyland or a ride in some place, and they have these scenes on both sides, kind of like that. Go through and the scenes of your life, the things that you did, right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. Right or wrong, it doesn't really matter, because every part of our life is a learning opportunity. So a lot of times we're going through things that are right or wrong, perception, expression, that we go forward and we're learning, and we're getting safer and safer and safer until we're coming up to the age now. And then what can you do when you're at that point where you are now? You can say, see, we made it. See, we made it. Isn't this a blessing that we made it? So how can we make sure that we've made it? By reminding ourselves we are safe. We've made it. We're safe. And guess what? When we bring that part of ourselves forward, we can possibly have the relationships that we've wanted. We may be able to have the financial abundance that we're having, or the success we've wanted in our business, or the successfulness of our life in having a cleaner house, or getting done with drinking or smoking or whatever it is, that we bring these parts of us forward so that we can energetically be okay. And it's time for us to be okay. This is the time for us to know that no matter where we're at and what we're doing, we're okay. And as I'm saying this, there's a statement my dad used to say. Love my dad. He's been gone now 32 years. At this minute in time, we have this knowing, and we have this much information. So I'm going to make a decision on what we know at this minute in time. Tomorrow, the next day, the next month, the next year, I'll have other understandings, and I might want to make a different decision at this moment. But I can't, because I have this much information. And I'm going to make the better decision I can in the perception I'm in, and the energy I'm in, and the mental, emotional mind that I'm in. And this is the decision I'm making. So then in another day, another year, another month, and all those going forward, that we actually say, yeah, I did what I was supposed to do. I may not like it, may not wish I would have. I got to live with it now and be okay, and give myself grace for making the best decision, because maybe then the next time I have to make some kind of information like that, I'm going to make a different decision, because I've had some learning experience of being not okay with it, being right with it, being more right with it, because you had that moment where you made the best decision you could. So then later you may be able to make some other decisions. We can heal the past, but it takes us to do it. In the sessions that I do a DNA past life healing, and it's really, I'm a facilitator, a holder of love and energy, and you do the healing. Because if you walk out of here and you keep up with the same old patterns, there's not going to be the healing that we worked on. So all we can do is do our better. I'm responsible for my healing. You're responsible for your healing, but we have to bring that forward. So whenever we think of that old pattern, like I have a moment that keeps coming back to me, this conversation with someone who's dear to me, and it wasn't a comfortable decision, and it was a lot of shaming and a lot of pain and a lot of storytelling. And as much as I would love to give this example, it's not worthy of it anymore. But it's worthy for me to say, that was then, this is now, and I'm okay now. That was then, this is now, and I'm okay now. Oh, that's healing my heart area. That's healing the heart area. So when we're going forward, and when we're walking forward, and when we're doing what we're doing, then I want you to know that it's not always easy to walk forward past out of our negative ideas and into a positive ideas. But it takes practice, and it takes time, and it takes energy, and it takes the mind saying, I'm stronger than you, or whatever it is. And the more positive we can give it, the more it chews on, the more positive. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, in spite of the outcome. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, in spite of the outcome. Wow. That helps, doesn't it? So how can you feel safe? Ain't that a question? I just heard that question from someone out there in the ethers. How can we feel safe? Well, feeling safe is a state of mind. Feeling safe is a state of energy. Feeling safe is a moment. And that word alone has power. So even saying that word can convince something somewhere in you that knows that meaning of the word. And safe is a state of mind. Ain't that a trickery? The word safe and the feeling of safe and the energy of safe and the experience of safe is a state of mind. And my animal makes me feel safe. That's a good one, Veronica. Thank you. But you can be safe without your animal, right? It's not wrong that our animals feel safe. I went through almost 8 years of not having a cat because of the fact that I needed to learn feel safe in my own being, my own body, my own knowing instead of relying on the cat purr if it may help me feel grounded and safe. Because I kept telling myself, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. And even saying that mantra gets the DNA, the mindset, the knowings, because like I said, the mind is very powerful. So, what is your mind telling you that is an untruth? Well, I experienced somebody lately having an anxiety attack. Did it quite well, actually, because the mind keeps saying that when I'm around a lot of people, I get anxiety. What are we telling ourselves more often than not that makes things true? So, if now that person would have said something like, yeah, there's something that's not feeling quite right about walking over there right now, and I'm going to listen to it. Instead of saying, I'm having anxiety because there's a lot of people. Wow. Ain't that a difference in language? Who's controlling who? Cancel, clear, delete that about the anxiety because I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. How does that feel in your heart? How does that feel in your knowings? Just that word alone can bring a perspective. And then as you keep saying it, no matter what the outcome is, that I'm not in front of a tiger or a lion. Sometimes we are, metaphorically, because the person we're talking to acts like one. But when we are feeling safe, many a times the outcome of where we're at, and yes, I'm not speaking of the times when you're in a dark alley and you are getting attacked by 4 people and you're not safe. I'm not talking about that. I don't want to discredit those moments. I want to honor those moments. But the anxiety and the feelings after that moment, after that happens, what can we do with that energy? We can start saying, as I'm sitting in a room with 2 people who I trust dearly, and I get those feelings that I'm unsafe. No, it's okay. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, no matter the outcome. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, no matter the outcome. And feel that energy shift if you keep saying it. And I'm going to repeat, it's something that when we practice that over and over and over again, and we have those quick mantras, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be okay. If you have those moments after you had to come back into life, after being in the dark alley and being attacked by 4 people, we have to move forward because life does. Life does. And if there's a part of us that stays there, now I'm not going to say that we can heal this all right away, not the whole big picture right away, but we're going to have to do things in stages. So maybe 3 or 5 or 10 years after we had that incident of the dark alley, that what we can do is go back and put that part of us in the wagon and pull that energy, pull that memory, pull that moment forward to show that the last 3, 5, 10 years, we've actually been walking forward, perfectly imperfect. We've matured, we've grown, we've become safer and safer. If we've pulled that forward, that moment forward, and it starts to breathe, I can almost feel it going, okay, 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 okay. So pulling that forward, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And reminding, because I'm going to go back to this, our mind is pretty powerful. So we keep saying something that is very positive about, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I'm okay, I'm okay. We're going to be grounded, I'm going to be grounded, I'm going to be grounded. I'm going to trust, I'm going to trust, I'm going to trust. I know everything's going to be okay. I know everything's going to be okay. I'm free from being that person. I'm free from that journey. I'm free from that opportunity again. I'm free from that being happy. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And if we can do that, then that moment doesn't always stay in fear and flight. it's other opportunities that can come up. And that's one thing that when we heal our nervous system, we heal that moment of the nervous system where it doesn't feel safe anymore. Now, I'm going to tell you though, when you get anxiety and you're walking down a dark alley and you, for the third time, and the second time you were okay, the third time you're getting that hair prickling moment, tell yourself you're going to run or scream or do whatever you need to do to feel safe. But don't put yourself in that situation if you don't need to. I was walking out of dancing and there's a gentleman that walked up behind me and my friend. What did I do? Didn't feel unsafe about him, but I hated having somebody at my back. So I stepped aside and let them walk forward. Gave them time to walk by walking real slowly and having a conversation about something over on the side. So I wasn't, and it gave them a chance to get in their car. And actually that person actually parked next to me. So I wanted to make sure that they were in that car because my girlfriend, who was on the side of the driver's side of the person, was there. Didn't feel unsafe, but wanted to acknowledge the moment to where I could feel safe. We got to have stories and we're not sticking to them. We're free from sticking to them because of the fact that we're all in a journey of life. And what are we going to do about it? We're all in the journey of life. And what are we going to do about it? I hope this conversation helped you move forward from a negative thought to a positive thought, because it doesn't really matter what the negative thing is. That there's a lot of things that we cannot heal right after that moment. And this isn't about forgiveness and it's not about healing, but it's about transforming it to making it to where it feels safe. It feels more okay. It feels more heard, righted, negotiated with. We all have had something that wants us to move forward. And like I said before, there's these things in these moments where we either these memories keep us out of fluidity of life, out of abundance. It keeps us out of getting our job that we've always wanted. It keeps us out of getting the friends that we were asking for. It keeps us out of acknowledging that we can have, let's say, a new car because something bad happened. We can be okay. It may not make it right and it may not be easy, but we can be okay. I hope this conversation helped. Woo! Well, that card wanted to come out. Wealth. If we do this understanding, help our nervous system be okay, get the mindset to remember that it is powerful and it can help us do the right thing if it's given the right tools. Just because it can give us just as many negative tools because it's just as powerful on the negative side. But if we do things that are more positive, we can use it to its positiveness because the mind wants to be busy. So give it something to be positively busy on. Because that's the wealth of life. That's the wealth of life. It's the wealth of life. So I'm going to pull a card for this moment. And if anybody else would like a card, I would love to read a card for you. So on Instagram, if you want a card, just say card, please. And what you do is you just put when I'm shuffling the cards for you, it's to give you, you just put out thoughts of what you want. You don't need to tell me. And then then the energy of the cards will come to you. Okay. So Veronica, thank you. You're always such a wonderful, I love you. Okay. So Veronica, this one's for you. Okay. Clear the cards, asking for the cards to give nice messages, loving blessings. Okay. Here we go, Veronica. Woo! Got a couple of them here, girl. Okay, so This one wants to come first. So you got the frog. So cleaning house, releasing emotional baggage. Because remember that a frog is only as healthy as its environment. We are only as healthy as our perceived environment. So if we're perceived unsafe or are perceived to have triggers, then we are not as healthy as we could be. So make sure that your environment is starting to get a little bit more cleansed because of your perception of it. Because it's time for diplomacy and being gentle with yourself. The female deer, how does a female deer walk down the road? Walk down that they have gentleness, they have knowings. They pause and look around and observe life when they are in before fear and flight. And if they need to run right away because of something, they run for a short distance and then they stop and look. So that's how we can do things, that when we are in the moment where things are happening, sometimes we have to stay quiet and process. Like I was saying, that sometimes I don't react to something. I stay quiet. And I'm asking for healing on this. I'm asking, and I have that mantras are positive in my head while I'm staying quiet, while something is negative or perceived as a situation not good, that I try to stay as positive I can in my thinking. And as a deer runs in fear and flight, they stop and then they look around. So then stop and look and see, what can you do to negotiate this? Because the Gale Knight wants you to know that as you sit in quiet and as you sit in understanding and as you go forward, that the Gale Knight, Veronica, is here to help you. He stands in the glory, but he releases and he surrenders to the greater good. And that's part of the stance, is that we can't always pull the wagon forward of our emotions and our things of our past unless we surrender to the bigger picture. We surrender and trust and accept the bigger picture and the path along the way to bring that part of us forward so that we can give it some more grace. So the Grail Knight, he sits there with his armor, his helmet on the floor, and he surrenders to the bigger picture as there's blessings. So be ready for blessings and be all that you can be, and know that no matter where you're at and what you're doing, that you can be acceptable for who you're expressionable. And that word's not coming out the way I want it. You are remarkable. You are remarkable, Veronica, and you have blessings. Is there anybody else would like a card reading? Yes, you haven't had that card before, have you? Good day to you. Yes, it's not morning though. It is, you're more than welcome. Love you too, Veronica. Yes, it is afternoon, but depends on where you're at in the world. Depends on if it's the middle of the night or the morning time. So good morning, good evening, good day to you. Okay, so is anybody else would like a card? All you have to do is put the energy out there and the question that you would want in your mind's eye, and then, well, here's a card, joy. So here's a card that somebody needed today, joy. It is really time for us to find the joyful moments. Now, I'm going to say that in any interaction and any knowings, and no matter where you're at, that there can be joyful moments. So take those moments and remember that our past is not always full of negative things, but there is joyfulness. So find the joy where you can. Find the sunshine where you can. Find the rainbows where you can, even in the middle of darkness. Many a times those energies, joy can change. Joy is a state of mind. It's not something that comes easily for a lot of us. So somebody was needing to do something that can find joy. I came home today. My husband was playing the oldies and the goodies of the 50s and the 60s. And he was having a joyful moment. I looked at him a little strange in a fun way, but he was just having a joyful moment. And so going into this, when we find those joyful moments, that actually helps change our DNA and enlighten our DNA. So what we can do maybe is that when you can find that joyful moment, it can take a lot of our dramas out of our knowings in our bodies. Okay. Is there anybody else that would like a card? Just say yes, please, and I will pull a card for you. Let's see. There's another one brewing. Okay. Okay, here we go. So this is going to be the card reading for everyone. Oh, sure, Kathy. Okay. So after I do this, because this reading needs to be told for someone. Hi, Kathy. How you doing? I'd love to do it. So, dear, be gentle with yourself. A deer came up again. Be gentle with who you are, following your instincts, knowing that your instincts can get you out of the moments where you're at. Because the Earth Fairy wants you to know that she grounded you. She knows you. She trusts you. She wants you to do better in your life. And physical health, grounding, and foundation. So remember the foundations of your life. This is a card reading for everybody. That as you go forward in your life, remembering that it is okay to be who you are and where you're at, and that groundedness of who you are. She wants you to remember to stay strong, but as she's engaging with her vulnerability. That's the word I want. Her vulnerability. But remember, it's okay to be a little bit vulnerable, because the deer, as much as it's not, a deer is only as strong as its vulnerability sometimes, because it has to know when to be in fear and flight, and it has to be knowing when to eat and what to eat. Because the queen wants you to remember that you are strong in making your decisions, in your diplomacy, woman, fertility, feminine power, sexuality, and friendship. So standing in power, remember that you can not always make the best decisions for yourself, but you sure can be strong in your trusting of your process. So remembering that you're free from being your past. It's about standing in your strength for everyone. Because Hawk is here to give us the greater vision, the knowing, the groundedness. Oh my gosh, have you seen how grounded a hawk can feel, even when it's in flight? So remembering that we are our inner strength. So trust the visions, trust the old, because burden is upside down. So our burden is a state of mind. So it's okay to turn that burden around and know you can deal with it. And our burden is only as strong as we give it. Because if we keep brushing it off, there again, put it in a wagon and bring it forward. Because Spider is here to say that we have a new web that we can jump into. We have a new web that we can make. So whatever we want in our life, we can make it. We live in the state of mind right now that our state of mind is our life. What do you want to have in your new state of mind? Because it's time to transform into the butterfly. Because sometimes we're in the stage of a butterfly of being the egg. Sometimes we're the butterfly of being the caterpillar and munching up knowledge and munching up ideas. Like when I was back with my daughter in New Mexico, that I was sitting there and had quiet time to contemplate. I was in very much gathering my information, contemplating. So I turned from the caterpillar into the chrysalis to see who I was, to see who I needed to be, to do some of that inner work, some inner contemplation, some inner knowing, some inner lookings into. So when I came home, I can get out of the chrysalis and be the butterfly, because sometimes we have to go quiet to think about things and then stretch our wings, which, when you stretch your wings for the first time, like getting out of bed in the morning sometimes, and then start moving, right? So it's really time for us to be our butterfly. Okay, Kathy. So let's do a reading for you, Kathy. Thank you for being here. And your dad. He loves you, Very proud of you. He's seeing a strength in you that he's not seen in a very long time. He's saying, yes, you were strong. You did those things, ships, all those kinds of things. But there's a strength in you that is very wonderful that he's witnessing. That's the one of the mind. He loves you. And he's sorry. Okay, Kathy, here you go. Sorry that popped in. Woo! Here's 2 cards. Oh, Kathy. Oh, there's one more card coming. Yeah. Wait a minute. There's one more. There's a more fuller picture here. One more card. Okay. What's the card? Is it that one? Yeah. Okay. So these are the cards, and you know how cards go. So the death card came about the endings of new things, or the endings. Sorry, cancel, clear, delete what I just said. You're going through this death to rebirth process, my dear, and it's about trusting the process, because it's about letting go. Kind of like the conversation we had earlier, that letting go, because we have to be careful what we're loyal to, even though loyalty is a good thing. But the loyalty in the clingy way is not always good. And unconditional love, yes. Please have that unconditional love to you for yourself. But it's really time to say that I'm in this big change in my life, which you know, because you're transforming into this beautiful woman, this beautiful knowing, this beautiful understanding of yourself. So as you're going through the death process of letting go of what was, to be loyal to the better self, the swan, the transformations are here for you. Wow. That's a beautiful reading. That death card is the total look at what you're going through right now. And it's a transformational, beautiful process that you're going through, because it has the story of the swan all over it. You're more than welcome. Is there anybody else? Because I'm down to the last here. So if anybody would like to get a hold of me for a private session, please go to intuitiveclarifications.com. I would love to support you in this life journey. I have different sessions that can help you manage. If you would like to get to know me a little bit, I do a 15-minute free consultation. But at the same time, those half an hour, and then the DNA session, I always ask for some kind of consultation, half an hour reading or something if I don't know you before the DNA and past life healing. Please remember that, I would love to do anything over Zoom. I can do appointments over Zoom or phone, or wisdom comes when we get a different perception. And I know I want to hold a whole lot of people with a whole lot of love, because we are all lovable. So if you'd like to follow me, Intuitive Clarifications IC, for my social media posts. My YouTube channel has over 800 videos. Please like, share if you feel like this conversation can help someone. It's time for us to stand in our empowerment. And if we keep letting our past hold us back, we're not going to go anywhere forward. And I know for me, there's a lot of me that is scared of my future. There's a lot of me that is shame of my future. There's a lot of me that's scared of moving forward. But I'm putting them in a wagon and pulling them forward, because we don't have a choice. I have aspirations that are calling to me, and it's time for me to walk forward in spite of that. So they're going to have an easy ride and get put in the wagon. Come along for the ride. And it's amazing what that feels like. It's actually freeing, because I don't feel like I'm dragging a lot of my life behind me. Blessings to you. Next Monday, I'm not too sure, or next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but I'm live every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time at this time. Oh, and I was just on the Jeff Morrow show last Wednesday sorry, slow down, Natasha. I was on the Jeff Morrow show last Saturday on YouTube. It was pretty inspiring to be there. That was one of my dreams, was to be on one of those types of shows. Jeff Mara. Yeah, Jeff, Mara. So blessings to you on your journey, and know that no matter where you're doing and what you're at, it's time for us to be our miracle. Oop. Because even our darkness can bring magic to our world if we put it in a wagon and pull it forward. Blessed be. Blessings. My love is with you. Bye now. End video. Thank you for being here.